Four teams on the cusp of possibly being a Super Bowl participant. Which of the four teams that I will list have the best chance of advancing there on the other side? Go Sports presents on the daily. Welcome back to the channel, VIP. I hope your weekend was well. I hope you've rested up in this pandemic season. Cole Johnson's here, live in living color. On the daily is on tap, presented by Cole Sports. And subscribe. Yes, you subscribe if you want to be the more than 100 participants in the VIP pool who do get subscriptions to this video platform, which airs every Monday through Friday. So join us if you want to be the smartest person in your house, in your office, at church, or any other place where you congregate with others. Now, this is Monday, and as we do it every Monday, we have to compile things such as a list. And I was trying to think long and hard as to what type of list do I want to compile. And in this case, the NFL is in the I guess you could say the home stretch of their regular season, and there are teams that are jockeying for position to be the best in 2020. So I figured there's four teams that probably could qualify, and let's dig into those four teams in the list. All right, so we're not talking about the three teams that pretty much everybody figures are Super Bowl favorites at the moment, which would be the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Saints. I'm not talking about those teams. I'm talking about the teams underneath them, the teams that they're climbing into the realm of respectability, and they may not be considered your favorite or mine, but they may, in the old school Beatles song, come in through the bathroom window to get there. You know, like, for example, like the 2006 Colts, or the what's a better example? Like the 1980 Raiders. You know, teams that just came from out of nowhere and they went to the Super Bowl. 2000 Ravens, another example. I'm talking about those teams. That's what we're focused on here, since we're in mid-December and the playoffs begin roughly 1 month from now. I think it's time to consider which of these teams has a shot at being the AFC or NFC representative in the following Super Bowl that's coming up in February, Tampa, Florida, the location. The first team on this list is the Los Angeles Rams. Now, as of current, they are sitting atop the NFC West. They already have they already have an impressive victory over the Cardinals. They came off a thumping victory against the Patriots. I know the score was 24-7, but the score was not indicative of the thorough thrashing that the Rams gave the Patriots. The team looks like they are in rare form. It looks like they are charging ahead for bigger and better things. And they're looking like they did back in 2018 when they ended up being the number 2 seed. They literally ran the Cowboys out of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in the divisional round. Then they went to the tough Superdome, looked the Saints in the eye, and beat them. Unfortunately, en route to a loss to the Patriots in that year's Super Bowl played in the ATL. But the usual suspects are still there. Jared Goff is still quarterback, and that arm is wonderful when the play action is there. So we needed to have him do play action in 2018. We still do 2 years later. And the running game is a necessity. The Rams go nowhere unless the running game is intact. So they need Henderson and Brown to be contributors to that offense. They run well, or at least they run enough. The play action is there, and Goff has a bevy of weapons, Woods, Cup, Everett, amongst others. So the play action is necessary. The running game is a necessity, and Goff needs both in order to be successful. If he has neither one of them, forget about it. But when the running game is there, the rushing attack helps the passing game flourish. And then they can turn over to a defense that is ranked number one in yards allowed. So when you have in the back end Jalen Ramsey shutting wide receivers down, and you have on the defensive line Aaron Donald, who is the best defensive player today and possibly one of the greatest defensive tackles we've ever seen in NFL history. Yes, in all of 101 years of the NFL, he probably will go down as one of the best already, but I think he has to continue to get there. The Rams are poised to be a spoiler to the Saints. It's almost like a repeat of 2018. The Saints might be the number 1 seed. The Rams might be the number 2 seed. Hey, but the Packers have something to say about it. Oh, look at the number 2 team that I'm going to talk about, the Green Bay Packers. So right now, they're sitting at the number 2 position. They're the number 2 seed in the NFC. All they need is to have the Saints lose once. And if the Packers win out, they will have the tiebreaker advantage because earlier they went to the Superdome and beat the Saints. Now they have Aaron Rodgers, who is having a good resurgent year. Last year was a decent year for him, but it was a year for him. This year, he's an MVP candidate. So he's having somewhat of a bounce back year. It is aided by Aaron Jones, in my opinion, the cog that needs to work in that Packers offense in order for them to succeed at all, because a strong running game helps Rodgers out. A strong running game also helps the defense out because the defense is not quite all there. They really aren't. For the exception of Za'Darius Smith, the wonderful all-world middle linebacker, if it really wasn't for him, I would sleep on that defense because the run defense is shabby. The pass defense, if you can get to them, okay, but not all that great. So they need to have explosive offensive games in order for them to advance in the playoffs. So it's, of course, Jones, Rodgers, and, of course, the further emergence of wide receiver Devontae Adams. You need to have those 4 names I mentioned for the Packers to actually stand a chance of advancing far into late January and into the first Sunday in February. The third team on this list would be the Buffalo Bills, and they are a peculiar team because sometimes they play well and they look like a Super Bowl contender, and then at other times they shy away from the moment, I guess. Sort of like the play where we saw when the Bills played the Titans in Nashville, where Derrick Henry, the running back of the Titans, stiff-armed Josh Norman, and Norman was depleted in the stiff-arming. Their defense gives up too many points for me to say, yes, they can be a Super Bowl candidate right now. However, they do have a piece in Tre'Davious Smith, who, when the ball's thrown in his direction, you almost have to cross your fingers and hope he doesn't come down with it. He is an interception magnet. And they're going to need him to take away a lot for their Bills defense to go far. And they need to have that Bills defensive front to stiffen a little more than it already has. But Tre'Davious Smith, of course, the best guy on their defensive side of the ball, if he can come down with a couple of picks in the game or a pick or two, or picking a fumble or some sort of turnover or takeaway, the Bills' chances of going far advances. And then you have the tandem of Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver, and the quarterback Josh Allen. And I think the tandem is helped out by Allen and his willingness to run the ball. Although I really don't want him to run the ball as much as they call his number to do. Because if you do have him run the ball often, he does have the penchant for putting it on the turf or carpet. A running game that is buoyed by Allen is a little better than having Allen be the star of the running game, if you understand what I'm saying, if you catch my drift. Because if that running game is there, then you open up play action. They don't do play action as much as, say, the Rams do or the Eagles do, but it would open up the lane for a play action. And of course, Diggs is the guy that if you get him down the field, he can get you yards after the catch. And he can run any route. Wonderful addition for the Bills, especially on that offense, that if you didn't have a stud wide receiver like a Diggs, the Bills offense would be stuck in mud. They would have to rely on the running game, and that would be it. You have to cross your fingers and hope the passing game is available and alive in that day, but it's there. And if all those pieces are together, the Bills can advance far. And the fourth and final team on this list would be the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, who they should celebrate because they actually got flexed into a Sunday night football game. That is actually reason to applaud. I'm not going to clown them for it. In fact, I'm going to applaud them for it because this team has been searching for that type of respectability ever since the second reincarnation of the Browns happened 21 years ago. And now they are there. Now the pieces are there and they're young. They have, to me, one of the defensive player of the year candidates in Myles Garrett. I talked about another one in Aaron Donald. I talked about yet another one in Tre'Davious Smith. Garrett, who he had to deal with a lot of messy comments and perceptions of him in terms of he's a malcontent in the November of 2019's brouhaha between him and backup quarterback of the Steelers, Mason Rudolph. He has shrugged that off, and now he is a man of the year candidate for the Browns. And they don't just award that to anybody. to be considered one of the 32 most distinguished men in the NFL during a given year, that's an honor in and of itself. And that tells you the growth of Garrett. And of course, the play on the field. I mean, the dude, double-digit sacks, and the guy that every opposing offensive line has to game plan for when you deal with the Browns, no matter what type of offense you run, because he's going to give your left tackle and maybe right tackle at times a headache. And I hate to say this, the absence, a talent such as Odell Beckham Jr., the absence of him has actually helped the Browns because I think it's allowed other people. I've seen it, and I think Browns fan has seen it, but it's allowed other people to see the leadership of Jarvis Landry, the other wide receiver, probably OBJ's best friend. The dude can do anything. You call him to do a reverse, he could do it. You call him to throw, he could do it. You call him to run a shallow route, he could do it. You call him to run a deep route, he could do it. Whatever you want Landry to do, he will do it. And he is, no question, the leader of that team. And then you have the combination, which is to be the most lethal in the NFL. And when it comes to running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Both guys could play the little man to the other's big man. Both men could get the tough yards. Both men could catch the ball out the flat. That is what makes this duo interesting because they both are similar in size. They both are similar in mentality. Although I lean more toward Chubb in production, especially on the ground. He gives you the tough yards a little more than Hunt, but you could do the same thing with Hunt. And that is what makes that duo dangerous. And because of that duo, that tandem, they help out a defense and they help out Not so struggling as much now anymore. Baker Mayfield at quarterback, because when you have a tandem like this who can run the ball at will on a team, on a defense, and make a defensive front pay every time that they just simply line up, that gives you a better chance, and that will make you advance any team. That'll make you advance far into January if you have a running game like the Browns do. So these four teams to me are possibly Super Bowl bound if it's not going to be the Steelers, the Chiefs, or the Saints. And that'd be the Rams, the Packers, the Bills, and the Browns. All of them have their flaws. All of them have their strong suits and strong points. But it's going to be interesting to see which one of these four will be the challenge. The other three teams that I just mentioned in the Saints, the Steelers, and the Chiefs will confront in their road to Super Bowl 55. Now, if you want this shirt that you see right before your very eyes, the description box below has all the details as to getting it and any style that you want for it. And you can get that. The description box below has it. Now, if you're saying to me, well, Cole, you're forgetting teams like, I don't know, the Seahawks. You're forgetting teams like the Ravens, maybe. If there's teams that you think I'm forgetting, or if you agree with me that other than the Saints, the Steelers, and the Chiefs, these four teams actually have a really good shot at going to the Super Bowl, either case, like this video and share it throughout your social media. Comment below because I love to hear what you have to say, VIP. Your comments are gold to me. Don't forget, hit the notification bell and subscribe to this channel for any and all content that emanates from here. Well, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much, VIP, for giving me your time and your eyes. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support. This has been yet another installment of Cole Sports on the visual and on the daily.